Hi everyone, Josh here. I hope you're all doing well. So I just want to quickly pre-frame the video that you're about to watch. It was a live session that I did just the other day with my private coaching group, but I decided to share it here with you guys on YouTube. And it's in the video, basically what I'm doing is I'm sharing my experience and my top tips and best practices for operating in Q4 selling on Amazon. I'm about to have my 9th Q4 and as you might imagine, learned quite a lot along the way, and as a result of helping other people to do this stuff, got a lot of feedback through what's worked and what hasn't worked for other people, and I've included that in this video. So it's quite a bit of a long one, so stick with it, and there is something pretty interesting that I'll be sharing at the end, so if you stick around for that, you'll be able to catch that as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Hope you enjoy it. So we are in the fourth quarter of the year, and for anyone who has never experienced a Q4 before, you don't even know, perhaps you don't know what Q4 is. Q4 is the fourth quarter of the year, and it consists of October, November and December, and it's when all of the action happens, not all the action, but the vast majority of the action from the perspective of an Amazon seller. I've often said that you can do in these 3 months what you can do in sales, in terms of sales, in volume, what you'll do in the 9 months leading up to it. So if this is your first Q4, then get excited, because the hype, it does live up to the hype. And although we are in a particularly difficult time economically right now in our country, what with interest rates going up and bills being high, all that kind of stuff, like what I've noticed, I've been in this, this will be my 9th Q4. I used to sell caravans and motorhomes, and I did that through the 2008 credit crunch and all that kind of stuff. And what I've noticed is that people, even when times are hard, people still treat themselves. They still treat those they love. They still go on holiday. They still buy gifts for each other. So I don't think we're going to see any kind of downturn in terms of what's happening in sales on Amazon. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of the brakes were halted not too long back, just simply as a result, I think, of the new hiked prices of gas and electric. It's quite a shock to the system. First of all, when it first happens, people sort of need to get used to how much they're going to be paying. So I do still think, even if it is a little slower to get going, I do still think that December is absolutely going to smash it. That's my thoughts on it. Nothing has ever really changed in the fourth quarter. Things have only got stronger and stronger. And as we've moved out of the back of the Q4 pandemic, I've talked to you guys about this before, but I believe we have a whole new audience that we're talking to and that we're now selling to on Amazon, because before COVID, there were lots of people that would only ever do their shopping in person. They'd only go to the shops and buy stuff. They'd never buy online. But of course, during COVID, they were forced to go to the shop online. Sorry, they couldn't go to the shops. And actually, a lot of those people realized they thoroughly enjoyed online shopping much more than they did going to physical stores. It's quicker and what have you. So anyway, we are now dealing with an entirely new audience on Amazon. We've got new buyers. They're excited buyers. They love Prime. They love getting next day delivery. And I really think this is going to be a really, really, really strong December. Hi, Lois. Welcome. So the thing to bear in mind, now I'm talking and I've got slides. I've got slides for a lot of what I'm saying, so I might have to skip through a few slides in a moment, but I'm going to roll. So Q4 used to get going a lot sooner. So what I mean by that is Q4 begins October 1st. That's the fourth quarter of the year officially. But what a common mistake that people make is assuming that everything kicks off, like sales suddenly skyrocket at October 1st. That isn't how it works. It used to get started a lot sooner. But since we in the UK here have sort of adopted more of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday type marketing in terms of online stores and things like that, and retail stores, things don't really start going crazy until after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. At least in my experience, things will start to accelerate, but it doesn't really, pedal to the metal doesn't happen until we get to after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I'm going to start moving through my slides here and probably cover a little bit of ground I already have, but just because I forgot to go through the slides here. So what is Q4 and why should you care? Well, I know we've got plenty of you guys that have already experienced a Q4 or 2 or 3 or 4, some of you even more than that, and you'll know the power of what can be done in this space of time if you leverage it correctly. So Q4 is, like we said earlier on, the fourth quarter of the year, October, November, and December, and it's when, if you are you take proactive action in terms of how you operate, you can really make a fantastic time of it, and pull profits in and sales in like you've never thought possible. In fact, I've got some screenshots here from some of those of you that have shared sales graphs in the past, ones that particularly illustrate the point well. You can see here, obviously, sales grow over time generally as people reinvest, but you can see these spikes here. November, and this screenshot was taken partway through December. This one here, October, and then in November things went crazy again. It was partway through December, so the sales weren't completed then. Again, spike in November, spike in December. So that's the sort of thing that you've got to look forward to if you're proactively reinvesting in your Amazon business. You're buying stock, you're consistently recycling. But the purpose of this live that I wanted to do today is to give those of you that haven't had a Q4 before a bit of an idea of what to expect and how to approach it, and for those of you that have had one or two of them, to have a little refresher on what it might be, how you best to approach it, and some tips and things that I've got for you after experiencing 8 or 9 Q4s myself before, and all the lessons I've learned along the way as an independent seller, but also all the lessons I've learned from you guys that you've reported back to me, which has been incredible. It's a really unique position I find myself in, to have access to not only my own information, but all yours as well. So like, a lot of what I've put together here is from you guys too. So thank you for that. In Q4, it is the season to make profit. There is no other way to put it. There will be so much opportunity. There will be deals everywhere. Depending upon whether you do online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, or dabbling in the pre-owned arbitrage side of things. If you are doing retail, then you've got supermarkets everywhere offering toy sales. Right now, you've got Tesco's. There's a club card sale. I forget how much. I think it's like half price on some items. It's one of those things that I think we all know by now. Black Friday, Cyber Monday. A lot of what sells, they market at a price like was £40, now £20. They haven't had that in stock since last year anyway, probably, and it's the RRP is £40. But anyway, still, a lot of these items are selling for that and more on Amazon, and I think it's only going to be more interesting this year once again, as we've got more competition for online shopping in terms of more people doing their Christmas shopping online. It's going to mean that there's less product available, which is going to push that price up. Okay, supply and demand, same old usual situation that us as online and retail arbitrage sellers, that's what we leverage. We leverage supply and demand. There is an increased demand online and a decreased supply more often than not, and that's when the prices hike up a little bit. And of course, people are paying for that convenience. So, like I was saying earlier on, sales do start to explode toward the end of November. Black Friday this year is 25th of November, so Cyber Monday is what, 26th, 28th of November. So we can expect to see sales really going mad after that time. So what should you be doing in early October and through to sort of late November? Well, I would recommend that you start preparing now. I've had a crazy busy year, and a lot of my Amazon selling hasn't been quite my focal point, I suppose, throughout this year so far. So normally I would be starting to prepare and start sourcing stock toward the end of August in preparation for Q4, believe it or not. But I'm always so excited by it because I know that it's going to be a crazy time. And obviously I'm not sending in what I buy at the end of August and waiting to send it in. I'm sending everything in, but I know that a lot of what I'm sending in isn't necessarily going to sell right away, and I'm totally cool with that because I know it will sell come December. So right now you should be sourcing like crazy, getting everything prepared, and we're going to get into some more tips in terms of preparation. But if there's anything that you need to get ungated for, now's the time to be doing it, and collecting any cash in preparation once again to invest into stock. So the gating world has changed quite substantially over the past 6 to 12 months. So most of you guys know I released a book, Get Me Ungated, back in I think it was January. of this year, 2022, and I'm already working on a revised, updated edition that will be released early 2023. The reason for that is so much has changed in the period since I published it, which is crazy. I don't know about you guys, but I am seeing way, way, way more brand level gating than I am anything else. Category gatings. In fact, last time I checked, and someone else brought this to my attention. In fact, one of you guys in the community brought it to my attention when we were talking about toys and games ungating. There isn't actually a toys and games gating level in place anymore, at least that I've seen. I'd be interested to know if anyone can show me otherwise, but there isn't toys and games in place. It's only brand level gating, and there's a lot more brands than there was before. So I'm seeing things like Play-Doh as a gated brand now, and of course those types of brands are going to be what really kill it in December. So at this point, I guess what you need to decide, and the question you need to answer for yourselves, is what do I get ungated for? Is it worth me spending time, money, and everything getting ungated on these brands, or is it not? So brands like Play-Doh, for me, Play-Doh is going to be a no-brainer because I do a huge amount of sales in Play-Doh. There's another brand that I've been meaning to do for a little while, but just not gotten around to it. One for All. It's like TV aerials and remote controls. It's a bit of an underutilized and kind of forgotten about category for Q4 in terms of these like universal remote controls and aerials and stuff like that. But I've actually found that sales go crazy for those types of things during Q4, or, into December. And this is purely theory based, but it makes sense to me. So at that time, people have got friends and family coming over, and we do a lot of watching the telly, a lot of Netflix. There's loads of great movies on, and remote controls get lost, right? And perhaps people have lost their remote controls, and they've been meaning to replace them all year. And it comes to like Christmas time, and they want to watch Christmas movies, and they think, right, I'm going to go get that universal remote control sorted, and also aerials. We don't have the greatest weather conditions throughout December in the UK. I don't need to tell you guys that. And I find a spike in sales of like the 4K aerials, the indoor aerials and stuff like that as well to help boost signal. So something to bear in mind there. And yeah, in December, brace yourself for the sales because they're coming thick and fast, and more often than not, faster than you can keep up with. A good problem to have, right? So toys and games gating. These slides I have used before and kind of adapted them for today's presentation because everything is still relevant. I've added some stuff in and taken some bits out. But toys and games gating, I always get this question because every year Amazon sends out an email that basically says, hey, you're not going to be able to sell toys and games throughout the fourth quarter unless you meet certain criteria. Well, in case any of you have received that email, I haven't seen it myself. It might have got lost in my inbox, but it only applies to FBM sellers. And that's if you don't meet the criteria as an FBM seller. So if you're FBA, you automatically qualify because what it's meant to do is to stop any trouble with delivery times and things like that. People pin a lot on their gifts and they get very, very upset if they order something that doesn't arrive in time for Christmas. So a new seller, Amazon's not going to take a gamble on that. They want to be in control of everything, and that's why they have criteria for FBM sellers, but FBA, they're in control, so no worries. So what sorts of things will sell well during Q4? Well, this is a question I get every single year, and my honest answer to it is more or less the same sort of stuff that we're selling throughout the rest of the year. There are the obvious things that aren't going to sell as well necessarily because they're out of season, but I was thinking back to when I was a kid and my friends were getting bikes for Christmas because I was thinking, outdoor things wouldn't necessarily sell as well. But you know what, people, parents buy their kids bicycles and scooters and all that kind of stuff at Christmas time as well. It's an opportunity for them to invest in higher ticket gifts and things like that. So there is really not a huge amount that's off the cards. We're probably pushing it a bit with swimming pools and hot tubs, especially with the price of electricity right now. But you get what I'm saying, right? Most of what sells well throughout the rest of the year is going to sell just on steroids throughout Q4. But here are a few of my favorite sort of go-to items that I look out for during this period of time. So number one, advent calendars. And for those of you that are dabbling with a bit of wholesale, have access to the wholesale program in the members area, you'll know that there is a particular wholesaler in there that not too long ago, I think it's a few days ago, sent out an email about with Roblox calendars, advent calendars in them, and they were selling them for half the price they were on Amazon. So, I mean, like, it's opportunities like that I would be jumping on, because they are going to fly off the shelf. Roblox, for those of you that don't know, is a really, really popular sort of open source video gaming platform that all the kids are playing. A lot of the kids are playing. My children are 7 and 8, and they both play it and absolutely love it. And both asked me for a Roblox calendar for Christmas, so that's one thing. Annual calendars. So what I mean by this is, like, I don't know, Jeremy Clarkson calendar for next year. I was going to say Top Gear. It's not Top Gear anymore, is it? But they do like people's favorite TV shows, Game of Thrones calendars for 2023, right? Those sorts of things, they sell really, really well at this time of year. Toys and board games. I talked about this last year, and the same stuff is done every year, and the same results come through when children are interviewed and quizzed on what they're most looking forward to getting for Christmas. Obviously, they have summarized this rather than specific individual things. But one of the top 3 results, I think it was board games. Children love board games. Families play board games together at Christmas time specifically, and as a result, they are super, super popular. Just a quick tip on the pre-owned arbitrage side of things, for those of you that do that. Nintendo Wii consoles and PlayStation 2 consoles tend to accelerate in sales and vastly increase in price. Just go take a look at like Keeper or Camel for sales of the Nintendo Wii consoles, especially with Wii Sports. That's if you guys haven't played that, it's a great family game to play at Christmas. Everyone gets involved after a few beers and glasses of wine. Anyway, that was just a little extra nugget there. But on to video games, consoles, and accessories. Yeah, they really sell well, very, very well at Christmas as well. Novelty products. These are the sorts of like token gifts people buy for their office colleagues, their friends and family members. Perhaps they're doing the Secret Santa thing. My wife does a Secret Santa with her friends and things every year, and it's normally sort of like funny, jokey novelty presents. But there's no shortage of those sorts of things going around. The supermarkets, Tesco's particularly, go really deep into that type of thing. So be a little bit careful on your quantities with them, but certainly novelty products is something to target. Chocolates. Now, I'm not just saying any old chocolates here. I've put think specialist here in brackets because things like plant-based, vegan-based chocolates, those that are for celiac, so gluten-free, those types of things, there is a much bigger and a faster growing market for those things. The availability is far lower. It's much greater than it was last year. But once again, there are still lots and lots of people buying those types of things, especially like non-vegans buying gifts for vegans. They don't really know much about it. They hop onto Amazon. They don't really know what to buy. They look for a vegan box of chocolates, and they don't really think too much about the price. There's a huge opportunity here. I was looking at the prices last year because my wife's she eats a plant-based diet, so she has a vegan chocolate, and the prices of the vegan chocolates on Amazon last year, I was looking to get her a last-minute gift, and I was horrified at how much they were going for versus the normal prices. So that's something else to bear in mind. Beauty products. So we're talking here like box sets, beauty box sets, and things like that sell very well. Every teenage boy, I'm sure, got the Lynx box set, so not necessarily go down the lines of the Lynx box sets, but the sorts of things I'm talking about, right? Some of those might have to be FBM, because if they contain or go in the dangerous goods program, if you're enrolled in that, but some of them obviously contain the perfumes, which are alcohol-based and highly flammable, or the pressurized containers of deodorants and stuff like that. So bear that in mind when you're buying those types of things. Otherwise, seasonal items. So we're talking Christmas-related items. I wouldn't go... I honestly stay away from Christmas decorations. And lots of people ask at the beginning of January, in the January sales, when all the Christmas decorations are being reduced to like 10p and stuff, should I buy these and sit on them and wait until next season? I always say no, because I think you could, first of all, make that money work for you a lot harder than just sitting waiting for the price to increase every year. Like, think if you got £1,000, how many times you could turn that £1,000 round in 1 year on Amazon versus sitting on it and waiting until next year. So don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'd stay away from Christmas decorations, because once December ends, or once December 25th hits, or even way before that, probably like the week before Christmas, people stop buying Christmas decorations. So I would stay away from that, but certainly seasonal items that would still sell outside of Q4 would be a good bet. Giftables probably comes along the lines of novelty products, really, but the giftables are the things that, you know, are easy gifts to give to people. The no-brainer sort of stuff. I'm trying to think of a good example here because we've kind of already covered the novelty products, the chocolates, the beauty gift sets. But I'm sure you guys know the sorts of things I'm talking about, right? Just go for inspiration on what the giftables are. Go down your local supermarket, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, Morrison's, whatever it is, and have a look at their seasonal aisle, and you'll know the sorts of things that I'm talking about. You'll see it all there. And just try and think outside of the box, right? This is a big one because there are so many people going to be going for the same sorts of stuff, probably a lot of this. So don't go too, as always, I'd go shallow and wide. I'll go a little deeper than perhaps I would throughout the rest of the year. But do be cautious on your quantities. Lois made a good point in I think it was Lois, it's gone now on my chat window, but about compliance documents being handed out for toys once again. Again, I'm still not too concerned about it. Obviously, it is something that I am bearing in mind, but I am being very cautious with my quantities. I'm not going too deep into any one thing, but compliance requests are still being handed out. For those of you that are not familiar with it, that's when Amazon are basically writing to us and saying, hey, the product that you've got for sale is subject to compliance documentation. We need a declaration of conformity certificate from you, plus pictures of the product from every single angle, which is not an easy thing to provide at the best of times. And more often than not, I will try and sell out before that compliance request is settled, expires. But hey, look, the other opportunities that we do have, the other things we need to that I use as kind of backup. It's far from ideal, but it is what it is. Flipping those things on eBay, Facebook Marketplace. I've been selling a lot of bits on Facebook Marketplace as my wife. We've accumulated a whole lot of rubbish over the past couple of years, stuff that we don't want anymore, and stuff that sells really, really well on Facebook Marketplace. So worst case, you can break even, perhaps even make a little bit of profit. And I do still make quite a bit of profit on some of the things I sell on Facebook Marketplace that I'm not able to sell on Amazon. Still not, like I said, it's not ideal, but it's another means of being able to clear stock and inventory that's kind of sitting there with your cash tied up in it. So don't be afraid to buy toys. If you can see other people still selling them, then it's a good signal that it should be okay. But of course, anything could happen at any time, so we never really know. But that's why I say think outside of the box. Try and get a little creative with it. I know there's quite a few of you that I've chatted with that have a very, very ninja little group of categories, group of products that you target this time of year that I'm not going to share, because obviously that would be wrong to do that, because those have been discovered by you guys. They are your products, not mine. And there is opportunities like that. There's replenishables that will sell really, really well during the Q4 period and all that kind of stuff. So think outside of the box, get creative, and do what you can. So Q4 operating principles. I talked about this last year. Hold on for dear life. In October, don't be dropping your prices. This is what I'm kind of getting at with this, right? Because someone asked last time, how long should I stick to my prices for? Every single Q4, it gets worse and worse every year because the sales craze doesn't pick up until later every year. But you get people who have heavily invested into stock for Christmas, and quite understandably, toward the end of November, when they haven't really seen a huge pickup in sales just yet, they're starting to get a little worried. They're starting to panic, thinking, geez, I'm going to go into January with tons and tons and tons of stock that probably won't be priced at the same amount. But my advice to you would be to, and I say this with confidence, because it's happened every Q4 that I've experienced so far, hold your price throughout October, throughout November, even if the price tanks in between, right? Because supply is going to decrease into December and demand is going to vastly increase. I'm a last minute guy, as you've probably determined if you've been in this program at any period of time. I'm last minute with stuff. That's just how I operate. And I'm the stereotypical guy who does his Christmas shopping like a few days before Christmas, right? And there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us that do it that way. We end up paying more than we should or more than we need to for stuff because we leave it to the last minute. But that's just how we roll. That's just how we roll, right? So those buyers are going to be some of your best friends come December, come the sort of last 2 weeks of December, because they're going to be buying your products at the prices that you've held strong at. And I'm sure many of the veterans here in the group that have seen 2, 3, 4 Q4s will tell you the same thing, that holding on and sticking at your prices, perhaps even like keeping a close eye on some of the quicker moving stuff and holding strong and increasing your prices throughout December, is a worthwhile exercise. Now, of course, this isn't going to be a fairy tale with every single ASIN, every single product that you run, right? There are going to be some that you hold your price on, you take Josh's advice, and you're going to be swearing about me come January because you're still stuck with them. But the reality is the majority of the things that you do that with are going to sell for what you're asking. And look, because we're focusing on mostly stuff that's going to sell all year round anyway, we're just looking at accelerated sales during the Q4 period. Like, those things are going to sell, and maybe that's when you look at taking the hit. But I would say throughout this period, hold strong. Even keep an eye on on stuff that you got high volume of inventory of, that's moving quickly. Look at slowly creeping the prices up, and using reprices like Profit Protector Pro will help you with that, because obviously they help you to maximize the potential profit using an algorithm, because they're interested in helping you to secure the best price so you can get the most profit, so you continue paying the subscription fee every month, right? So you'll see it. It's gonna happen, and it's the reason prices get tanked in October and November is because of these unseasoned sellers, those that have seen no Q4s, or maybe they've done 1 or 2 and they're still sort of wet behind the ears with it all. They're going to start panicking. They're going to start lowering their prices. But actually, and again, I've talked to you guys about this before in the past, but I quite like it when they do it. It used to scare the crap out of me, I've got to say, until I realised what was happening. So when these unseasoned sellers, I call them the hobby sellers, once they start reducing their prices, once they start reducing their prices and clearing out their stock, it does us a favour, because here's what's happening. When the prices reduce, it attracts more buyers. Like it'll appear on the deals will appear on something like Hot UK Deals, because they track 10, 20, 30% reductions in prices on Amazon products. So when a hobby seller goes and reduces their prices, it's going to make its way onto Hot UK Deals, which is going to gain exposure for the ASIN. So what happens is then more people go buy it because the price is lower. That spikes the sales rank. It increases the ranking organically in Amazon's search facility for that product. So let's say it's a Monopoly board game, but it's a specific version of Monopoly. Well, if people are going into Amazon and they're typing Monopoly board game, and that has just had a huge spike in sales because a hobby seller has cleared out their inventory in panic, then it's going to spike that algorithm, push the sales rank down, which is a good thing, and increase the ranking organically in the Amazon search. So it is a good thing when they do it. It might not feel like it at the time. I see people in Facebook groups swearing about it, and I think to myself, if only they knew, if only they knew what was going to happen. So I'm always excited when I see that. And the other obviously person, the other seller account that isn't a hobby seller that does this to us quite often is Amazon. And they're the big one, right? They're the ones that really cause the panic. You go 20 to 30 or more units deep in a Monopoly board game that costs you £15, and all of a sudden Amazon are selling it for a tenner, or with free next day delivery, and they've got 999 plus available. Well, that's when the panic starts to set in for a lot of people, because you're in for several hundred, and in some cases for some people several £1,000 just in one item, and that's when you start thinking, I'm going to cut my losses here. But if you look at the charts, look back at Keeper, look at when Amazon do that kind of thing, they always bring the price back up, unless it's a complete and utter flop of whatever it was. And you will be able to see, because that you look at the pricing charts and it's like a roller coaster dropping off the edge of a cliff. It stops. There is no pickups. It's all just downward momentum. If it's downward momentum, obviously we don't invest in those types of things. If it's consistent downward momentum, unless you know something that other people don't, and that's thinking outside of the box. So. All right, so hold on for dear life with your prices. Hold in October, hold in November, and go crazy in December. That's when everything's going to come in. So hopefully that makes sense there for you guys. Next, some more pricing principles to think about throughout Q4. Just remember that you do not need to be the cheapest in order to secure the sale. because there is a misconception in the Amazon selling world that you have to have the cheapest offer to secure the buy box. Simply not true. And I know you guys know this because you've seen it happen yourselves time and time and time again, especially if you're using reprices like Profit Protector Pro. They will help you to secure the buy box at a higher price. You don't have to be the cheapest. There is an entire training on buy box, securing the buy box in, I think it's the bonus miscellaneous section of the members area for arbitrage insiders people. It's called Buy Box Secrets, and it talks about the buy box and how you can leverage many other different things inside of your Amazon selling presence to secure the buy box. And like I was sort of alluding to just a few minutes ago, the closer it gets to Christmas Day, the more likely people are to pay the higher price for prime delivered goods. So that's when the FBM sellers, their season, their Q4 is a lot shorter than us FBA sellers, right? Because 2 weeks before Christmas, clued up people are going to be thinking to themselves, well, actually, like, I don't know, Royal Mail are striking left, right, and centre right now, which is delaying things, and it's being done on purpose this time of year because they know it's going to cause the biggest disruption, because this is the biggest time of year for shipping parcels and that kind of stuff, right? So we are, as FBA sellers, going to be getting the best deal here, because those people are going to be wanting guaranteed delivery for Christmas. And you think little Billy wants his Christmas present, his dad's going to pay whatever he needs to. If he's left it till last minute, he's going to take responsibility and pay what he needs to get that gift for little Billy on Christmas Day. You know what I'm saying, right? People will pay over the odds because they want the thing, and it's the one time of year that they're prepared to do it. They might be a little bit sour grapes about it, but at the end of the day, the smile from their children on Christmas Day or grandchildren, whatever, is going to make up for it. So bear that in mind. Please bear that in mind with your pricing. You don't have to be the cheapest. Don't have to match the cheapest. And I've already talked about utilizing reprices to focus to help secure a higher price in the buy box. And again, I've mentioned this a few moments ago. Just look at the historical pricing charts. If you're not sure about whether or not to invest in a product, if it's a product that's been about for a little while, like a lot of them have, a lot of SKUs have seen, a lot of ASINs have seen multiple Q4s. Look back at the data. Look back at the sales spikes. Look back at the sales volumes in Keeper and BuyBot Pro and things like that, so you'll know what's happening. Right, this is a controversial one. I got some stick last year from a couple of people, not in this community on YouTube for this one, because they disagreed, and that's cool, no problem, right? But in my experience, when like Disney are number one for this, they release a new movie around this time of year. I think Avatar is coming out, which I'm personally well excited for, can't wait. There's going to be a new Star Wars film, because like they release those every couple of weeks. Like there's going to be new Disney movies coming out, right? And what happens around this time of year is Amazon are a little bit more cautious on fake stuff, because there's a lot of, unfortunately, stuff from AliExpress that's all fake that comes onto the Amazon platform during this time of year. So if you've had your account for a little while longer, you'll probably be more immune to this than those with newer accounts. And by newer accounts, I mean like a few months old. You might see an increase in brand gating. So please be careful of hot new toys, because they are the first things to get gated. And more often than not, it's not just an invoice using the traditional route of ungating. It's a temporary gating at a totally different level that you need like written approval from Amazon for, which I'll save you the trouble. It's not going to happen for us, right? It's not going to happen. If you were Disney shop, then you'll be fine, because Disney now sell on Amazon, even though that hasn't actually made a difference to sourcing from the Disney shop, because I still do it to this day. But you know what I'm saying, right? Little sellers, little independent sellers, even if we feel like we're big sellers doing 500,000 plus a year, you're still small fry in the scheme of things. So it's not worth trying. Move on, find something else, in my opinion. Okay, people might disagree with me on that, but I found it to be quite dangerous, because you can get stuck with stock and you won't be able to make the most of the price hypes. Next, sales rank. So sales rank is obviously a big piece of my framework. I'm always basing my buying decisions on sales rank, at least not entirely, but it's a big part of my decision-making process. What's the sales rank? How many times a month is this thing selling? How many other people are selling it? Those types of things, right? So because there is an accelerated number of sales throughout Q4, I am prepared to be that much more flexible with my sales ranks. So previously, you guys know, you've been through the training. 1%, up to 1%, I'm prepared to buy more. I'm prepared to buy a higher volume, higher quantity of products because I'm more likely to sell them throughout Q4. And I'm prepared to go to stretch that to perhaps even like 2%. So I generally stay sort of under 100k in toys, which is round about the 1%, maybe a touch over. But Q4, I'll push it up to as high as about 200k for multiples. Now, I'm not suggesting that you guys do the same thing. Like those of you that have been doing this for a little while, you will know where your limits are. You know this already. It's second nature to you. But for those of you that are just getting started, still be cautious on your quantities. Go shallow and wide. And again, just to talk about what I mean by shallow and wide is you want small quantities of lots of different products, and you want them in the fulfillment centers as quickly as you possibly can. But be a little bit more flexible with your sales ranks, and feel comfortable doing it because things demand increases vastly. So what is normally 1%, 2% is almost equal to 1% during this period of time. But sales pick up that much, they like triple, quadruple what they normally are. But like I said, be careful on those quantities. Next, a very important one, operating capital, cash flow, money. It's the number one thing that's going to hold you back this year, this Q4. If you haven't got cash available to invest into your business, then your wings are going to be clipped. Essentially, you're going to be held back from what your potential is. Right, the more money you've got, the greater chance you've got of being able to make a real success with this. Now, if you're sitting there and you haven't got a huge amount of money, then don't be discouraged. Do what you can to raise more, right? So I've got some tips here, things that I've done personally over the years to help raise some more cash, and some of them you might be to leverage. And again, those of you who've been here, done a Q4 already, you'll know exactly what to do. But my first point is that your cash is not going to work harder for you on Amazon than it does during this period of time. This Q4 season, these 3 months, your cash is going to work so hard for you. You'll see screenshots from people who are doing 6 figures in December. That's done by recycling the same money many times over, and I'm sure many of you will have experienced this. You might have a £1 in in December, and that £1 gets invested into say 3 or 4 different ASINs over that period of time. You sell it, the money comes back and it gets reinvested. You sell it again, it goes back and gets reinvested, and so the cycle repeats itself throughout December. So your money works really hard for you. It's going to be like gaining interest on steroids, obviously, with your hard work behind it all. So here's some ideas to raise some capital to invest in stock in Q4 to make the very best of this incredible opportunity that we've got here. So you've probably got some stagnant assets kicking around the house, right? Get them sold, get them turned into cash, and get them put into some Amazon stock. So in the past, I've been very reluctant. I'm a massive nerd. I love video games and pop culture and all that kind of stuff, and I had collections of these different types of things that I've kept for myself over the years, and I'll look at them thinking, it's just money sitting there, and I'm reluctant to sell them. But in the end, I said, you know what? Those are sitting there, like, yes, they're gaining a little bit of value because I like to collect things that increase in price over time. But, whilst that's probably gaining 5% a month at best, if I can sell that, sell it for what it's worth today, turn that into some cash and put it into some Amazon stock, I can double, triple, quadruple that cash over the next 3 months. And then, if I still fancy whatever it was that I had that I'd sold, I'll just buy it back next year. So get rid of those stagnant assets that are sitting there, not serving you. Get them sold, get the cash in the bank, and get it invested into some stock to benefit you in Q4. I know lots of people have got cash in premium bonds. My children, we put all their birthday, Christmas money in premium bonds. I won't take their money, obviously, but I know lots of people do that the same thing with cash they don't really know what to do with. I know I have recommended to lots of people who've asked me that don't want to do anything actively. They don't have no interest in business, no interest in like doing anything like that. So where else would you put your money? Well, for me, when my wife and I were saving for our first house, interest rates weren't particularly high. It was after the credit crunch, and our money wasn't safe in the bank, so we put it into premium bonds, and we made a much better rate on that. Anyway, even though you get a good rate on your premium bonds, it's much better put into stock for Q4. None of this is obviously financial advice, guys, so take it with a pinch of salt on that level. But in my opinion, your cash is much better put into stock for Q4 because you'll be able to turn it around that much better. And then you can put all the profits from Q4 back into premium bonds if you really want, once everything's said and done. Collect any outstanding debts that you're owed. If you lent money to friends, family members, whatever, go collect that debt so that you can put it into stock for Q4. Sell things from around the house that you don't want or need anymore. We sold a whole bunch of furniture, I think it was last year, and I put that into stock. And yeah, did very well as a result. Sell your old returns on Facebook Marketplace. If you're anything like me, you've got a corner of your garage just stacked floor to ceiling with like returns, overstocks, stuff that whatever reason you haven't sent back into Amazon. Get it sold on Facebook Marketplace. Now's the time. There's a lot of proactive early Christmas shoppers out there right now trying to pick up bargains, and you can clear a lot of your stuff out to those people. The next thing is one of my favorite things to do, and again, you should be very responsible when you do this, but utilize what I call OPM, other people's money, right? Actually, I've got a really exciting interview that I did with someone that I'm going to talk to you about next week. I'm going to be releasing that, but it's a conversation that we touched on there. This person started off with a credit card balance and is now doing multiple six figures a year off the back of borrowing, utilizing other people's money. So it should not be underestimated by any stretch of the imagination. Credit cards, if you've got a credit card balance, if you could borrow money from someone you know, friends and family, obviously be very careful doing this sort of thing. Once again, this is not financial. Do what you do responsibly, make the right decisions that suit you. If you can't afford to pay it back, don't borrow it. But obviously anything that you borrow and invest into stock, you should be prepared to lose. That's a crazy thing to say because I know it's not going to happen, but I just want to caveat that with it because but you guys know, you've been selling on Amazon, right? You know it works, you know the system works. So anything that you spend is going to come back to you. Even if worst case nothing sells, you get back what you paid for it by returning it. But anyway, leveraging loans, credit cards, Amazon are dishing out loans like nobody's business right now. At least that's the feedback I'm getting from those of you in the group who are seeing it. I'm seeing it in other Facebook groups. Amazon is lending money like crazy. Amazon loans, they seem to me to be like a really good option. I'm sure they're going to start increasing that because it makes sense to them, right? They lend us money that they earn interest on, and them lending us money allows us to buy more stock. It reduces their risk of buying the stock themselves. They're basically but they're basically profiting from lending us money in multiple different ways. So it's a no-brainer for them. It's a no-brainer for you. The rates are really good, and the capital, I think, it's going to get paid back into from your Amazon balance. So that's worth doing if you are sitting there looking at a balance, wondering how to spend it. Trust me, if you take it, you'll be able to spend it, no problem whatsoever. And if not, I can help you. I can help you spend it. So another operating principle I want to talk about for Q4 is outsourcing. Now, this is something that I think is really important, and I know a lot of you are now reaching the level. We've been going here for nearly 4 years in the Arbitrage Insiders community, so I know a lot of you are now reaching this level if you haven't already. But outsourcing is one of the ways to take your business to the next level. You'll know you're ready because all of a sudden you just won't be able to handle everything that's going on. You've probably got full-time jobs, you're running other businesses, or perhaps you do this full-time, whatever it is. But at some point, you're going to need to start outsourcing. And you do that by utilizing things like third-party prep centers. And there are loads, and they're popping up all over the place. But there are loads of them here in the UK. I've used them myself on a very small scale, but because I've been full-time on this, I've got space at home. I just do it myself for the most part, I'll be honest. But I know a lot of you prefer to utilize prep centers. Obviously that is going to cost you, it's going to eat into your profit margins a little bit, but it's going to enable you to scale and operate at a level that perhaps you wouldn't have been able to working alongside a full-time job. And I know lots of people's families will get frustrated by having a house full of goods at Christmas time, right? Not being able to move. I know a friend of mine used to have it either side of his bed because he couldn't get it anywhere else. Every other room was full. So another opportunity for outsourcing during this period of time is that there's always people that want a bit of part-time casual labor over the Christmas period. So utilize that. Friends, family members are a great place to start. my 16-year-old niece was interested in doing a bit of work. It didn't come off, but was interested in doing a little bit of processing and packing and stuff like that. So maybe you've got similar kinds of opportunities that you can leverage for with people you know. You could hire a virtual assistant. You could look at hiring virtual assistants to do sourcing for you, to do buying for you, to running everything for you if you really want to. So that's another thing to consider. Utilizing deal services. Now, obviously, there are lots of different options out there for this. We have a deal service. There are deal services everywhere. Again, they're popping up all over the place as well. So utilizing deal services, and not necessarily just for the deals themselves, but also so that you can discover new stores, discover the types of products that are being used and are being sold well during Q4. Because I know, like we do, and I know a lot of other deal services do, they sort of kick into gear for Q4, start sourcing the types of products that people are wanting to buy. And once you hop onto those stores, you can, even if like you go on the deal sheet, you get maybe 1 or 2 deals from one particular shop that you haven't heard of before. Well, that's an opportunity to dive deeper into that store and see what else you can find. So that's another thing that you could do in terms of outsourcing in the fourth quarter. Next operating principle I want to cover is speed. Now, I'm not talking about the drug. People were popping in nightclubs and stuff like that. No, it's nothing to do with drugs. I'm talking about like getting things done quickly. No procrastination, taking action as soon as you possibly can at getting things done. Like there was a, where is it? There we go. The quote by a guy called Dr. Joe Vitale, at least I think it was him that said it. Money loves speed. Money is attracted to speed. The faster things move, money is attracted to it. So the quicker you get your stock bought, the quicker you get it turned around and sent into the fulfillment center, the sooner it's going to sell and the sooner you can get that money reinvested into more product. And essentially that's going to be the difference between, like if you send your stuff off once a week versus once every other couple of days during Q4, that could literally halve or double your profits, just literally with the speed at which you get stock sent into the fulfillment centers. Keep the flow going, right? Keep buying new stock. And a question that I don't know if I got answered in these slides actually, but a question that I get quite often, it's a really good question, is when should I stop sourcing for Q4? At what point is enough enough? Well, I mean, how long are you in this for? Are you just in it for Q4 or are you in it for 2023, 2024 and beyond? If the answer is yes, you're in it for longer than just Q4, well, like don't stop sourcing. Just change the way you source, right? So calm down on your quantities, be a little bit more cautious about your sales ranks. And I would be doing that toward like 3rd week of December, really, maybe 2nd week. But again, it's just going to go so crazy. We never really know exactly what's going to happen until it does. But at that point, that's when I would start sort of, changing the way I source a little, but certainly not stopping sourcing altogether by any means. Restock limits. So this slide was in here from last year's, from when I did this little presentation last year. Now, restock limits hasn't really been a problem that I'm aware of. Mine certainly isn't, and from the feedback I've gotten from the group so far, it hasn't been a problem of late. But we don't know. It might change. So Amazon might decide, or a whole bunch of sellers, big sellers, might suddenly send a whole load of stock in. Amazon opened a lot of new fulfillment centers in throughout the COVID period because, as we all know, restock limits became a thing because they were full. They just didn't have anywhere else to put the stuff. That's changed now, so restock limits might not be a problem. You're probably sitting on like several thousand units and you've got 5-figure, like 10, 20,000 unit space available. Maybe that's the case, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But let me just go through what you can do to increase that if you are. So your IPI, I think the limit is at 500 still. You've probably already been told that you have either unlimited inventory or I'm not sure they do unlimited anymore. Mine's not unlimited, but I've got a lot of space, like 20,000 units or something, I think, that I can use. Anyway, but you can request an increase in your restock limits. I'm going to talk about how to do that in just a moment. But remember that our storage usage is also measured in a multitude of different ways. So it's not just physical volume. It's not just units, it's physical volume as well. So whilst you might have 10,000 units, you might be limited to, I can't even think of a good example. I'm terrible with the mathematics on this side of things, but it might be like 10,000 square foot or something. I don't know. So just remember that both of those things apply, right? And there are some frequently forgotten about storage storage availability that you have that, like I say, most people don't even consider, and certainly people weren't thinking about last year. So if you're full up on your standard inventory, which is where most things go, think about your oversize. It's a gold mine, especially at Q4. Lots of toys are quite big; they're boxed in large packaging to increase the perceived value of the thing. Well, Q4 is a great time to get into oversize. I generally hate oversize because you can't send as much in. My living room gets stacked full to the ceiling, and the office gets filled up quicker. You fit less in a box. You know what it's like, right? But it's a great opportunity, and a lot of people ignore oversize. So there's a potential for profit there as well. Clothing. There is a separate storage availability for that. A lot of people don't know that clothing and shoes go into clothing, and there's a separate storage availability that you have for that. You've got footwear and standard inventory. So those are the 4 different types of storage availability that you have inside of your account. And in case you're wondering, if you go to manage shipments, I think manage FBA shipments, it shows you at the bottom. You have to click a little arrow to expand the box, and it's going to show you what you've got in terms of storage capacity. I don't think it's going to be a problem this year, but let's just cover it in case, right? So here's what you do if you want to increase your restock limits. If you are sitting on a low restock limit, which I think a couple of people have mentioned to me, they're almost at their limits, but I think most are okay. So here's what to do if you are at a limit or you think you're going to need more. So contact seller support, but use telephone support. I can't stress this enough. Every time I talk about contacting seller support, the best way in 99 times out of 100 different cases, the best thing to do is to get on telephone support. Email support is not as effective because you often just get fobbed off with something. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So what you do when you get them on the phone is tell them that you'd like to request an increase in your standard size restock limits and storage volume, not just your restock limits, because you have to be specific, right? Make sure they understand what you're talking about. Now, what will happen is the support agent what they should do is put together the request for you on the telephone with you. They'll ask you questions. Last year, this hasn't happened this year, but last year I did it myself on the phone with them, so I know it can be done. So I can make a point of insisting that they do it, because they might try and fob you off, but be like, look, can you do it with me over the phone here? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And feedback from last year is that was reasonably successful to get them to do it for you. Now they're going to ask you why you want an increase in your stock limit. So this is purely opinion based. I've got no facts to back this up. This is what I've experienced in dealing with Amazon over the years. They don't care about the fact that you need to feed your family this Christmas. Party said last year I did it and they fixed it. Yeah, I remember that. I remember you got a pretty decent increase off the back of that. That was good. Hopefully the same is true this year. So yeah, they don't care that you need to feed your family this Christmas, and stay away from the emotive language. Don't use that. Focus on real business reasons. Talk about how you're going to be, investing a significant amount more capital into stock this year, and you're expecting an increase. You're forecasted increases and stuff. Be more business minded on it rather than using the emotive stuff. They don't care about that. There's not a tick box on their tick list that says need to feed kids this Christmas, which is sad, really. But they don't care about that kind of stuff, right? They care about the business. They care about making money. Obviously, them giving you a greater restock limit if they think you're going to use it well, it benefits everybody. So why not? Now, this is again last year. They were putting a lot of focus on the MCF, the multi-channel fulfillment stuff. So people selling on eBay, using Amazon to fulfill it and all that kind of stuff. So I heard that mentioning that would help increase your chances of getting an increase in your storage capacity. Now they'll ask you how much you want an increase of. So I would go in prepared. Don't be caught off guard with that question. Go see what you've got right now. What they say, shoot for the stars. You might land on the moon, right? So if you've got 2,000, ask for 6, and maybe you'll get 4. But you get what I'm saying, right? You go in, tell them what you need, and they're going to give you less than you asked for. Probably, maybe they'll give you more. Maybe they'll give you what you asked for. I don't know, but better ask for more than you need. That way, you're less likely to be disappointed. So here's how you actually go about getting in touch with seller support on the phone. So step 1 is to click on the help button in the top right hand corner. So here in Seller Central, click help, then go to this button right down the bottom, scroll down and click get support. then you're going to be taken to this page. Click on selling on Amazon, and then you want to go to this link here where it says browse for your issue in the menu. That's going to pop up this box, and this might have changed since these screenshots, but it's going to be very, very similar. Go to Fulfillment by Amazon, Other FBA Issue, and then click Select Issue on Other FBA Issue right here. Then that's going to take you to this screen. So contact reason, I would recommend you put in here, request increase in standard size restock limits. And for this example, I've put, I would like to request an increase in my standard size restock limits and storage volume, please. I didn't include any more information in there because in my experience, they generally don't read this, especially since we're going for phone call. So fill in the form. What does it say? Step 9, ignore this rubbish. Yeah, they're going to try and fob you off with going into the support forum or reading support articles, but ignore that and just carry on and click where it says phone. A lot of people miss this. It's defaulted to email. Obviously, they want to take as few inbound calls as possible. Cost them money every time we get on the phone. But hey, let's spend Amazon's money. Get on the phone, enter your telephone number, and click call me now. Don't tick the box that says this is urgent and requires immediate attention. Let's face it, it isn't and it doesn't. And that will just create bad faith for you in the future with Amazon. So don't tick that box. Click call me now, and your phone should ring instantly, and that's when you can get this stuff sorted. All right, so that's how you go about increasing your restock limits. But let's suppose they say no, sorry, we're not doing that, you're not having an increase in restock limits. What happens then, right? So another opportunity you've got here is to go FBM. All is not lost. If you are full up with FBA, or for whatever reason you can't FBA, I don't know what that reason might be, but let's say you can't, FBM is an option. It's far from ideal, but do you want to make some money at Christmas? If you do and you can't use FBA, FBM is an option. Otherwise, you could always do SFP, Seller Fulfilled Prime, and that's where your account. Not everybody can do this. If your account is new and you haven't got a lot of history, you may not be able to do this. But if your account is older and you have got history, then there's a good chance that you'll be able to do Seller Fulfilled Prime. You have to meet. I'm not sure what the criteria is because I've got no interest in doing it myself. I've got to be honest. I prefer FBA. I value my time. I don't want to be spending too much time picking, packing, and posting out parcels. So I'd rather Amazon do that. But I know for some people that's a preference, which is totally cool. So in Seller Fulfilled Prime, you would have another opportunity to get things listed and get them sold. So what have we got here? Oh yeah, prepaid returns labels are only required upon request for return. Confirm with seller support. Yeah, because a lot of people were asking about that last year because they'd heard that was something that was causing an issue. Next, you could store your products at home. Or in your office and send in as space becomes available. So a lot of people, what I noticed they were doing is they weren't taking advantage of deals as they came up because they had nowhere to put it. They had no space in the fulfillment centers. Again, I know it's less than ideal, and your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfend, significant other is probably going to hate you for it, but stack up the stuff at home somewhere. It's a great opportunity to pick up stock at really good prices. So I, for one, won't be turning it down. I'll be utilizing every inch of space at home to make the most of this. Next, utilize a third-party fulfillment center. Now, lots of the prep centers that I'm aware of have started offering this as a service. So the difference between a prep center and a third-party fulfillment center is that a fulfillment center stores and ships your goods directly to the customer. So in this case, you would list them either as FBM or SFP, and have the fulfillment center, the third-party fulfillment center, actually fulfill the goods on your behalf. There are lots of people who do this. And lots of prep centers that do this now, and whilst they charge you for the privilege, we're going to be making more money, so we can probably afford to sort of stomach a little extra costs and fees. Again, this is a second to FBA. FBA would 100% be my primary, but if you are stuck and you have your restock limits are limiting you, this is another option you could consider. And don't take the first no as an answer, right? Like literally, when they say no, if they say no to your restock limits, just ask again. And if they say no, just ask again. Keep asking until they increase it. Someone last year did it 4 or 5 times. On the 4th or 5th attempt, they said yes, and they doubled it. So maybe if you are enough of a pest to them, they will eventually say, got to get this person off my back. Let's just increase it. They'll keep calling if not. So continue requesting those restock limits increases, and you might just get it if you were told no the first time round. So these are questions that came in from you guys last year, so I just want to recap on some of these because some of them are really good questions and things that I hadn't covered in my original slide. So Last year, someone asked me for some top secret Q4 stock sources. I was reluctant to share these last year because these are some that I do keep it pretty close to my chest. But I'm going to share them with you guys this year, and I've doubled them. There's an extra, I think there's 8 now in total, so there's an extra 4 or 5 based on what in addition to what I gave you guys last year. So number 1, Chaos cards, one of my favorite little secret ninja stock sources, especially for Q4 because I already told you earlier on, and you guys know this. I'm a bit of a nerd, a bit of a geek. I love my video games and pop culture stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? The collectibles and that kind of thing. There's lots of people buying those as gifts this time of year for people like me. They know that we like Pokemon. They know that we like Funko Pop vinyls, right? So those get bought for us as gifts. So Chaos Cards sells a lot of that kind of stuff. Just Geek is another one, a really great store. They often have very, very good sales on toward Christmas. The Game Collection. If you've got VAs, they can't access this site. This site can only be accessed from the UK. And one of my favorite stock sources for video games. My personal favorite, I get a lot of video games from the Game Collection, so that's one not to be ignored. I think it's the gamecollection.net, not .com. NISA Europe, NISA Europe. They sell a lot of sort of Japanese RPG-based video games. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't, go take a look. They do a deal of the week and a deal of the month, which is usually a good product. Beware of the sales ranks; they are pretty high. The sales volume show as being very low, but in my experience, they're selling quite a few more than they say they are. Buybot Pro, but trade carefully. But they're always going to the games you get from there are always going to hold their money, so you'll never lose money on them. They'll just might take a little while to sell. Next, Rare Waves, a new one for me. I say new, I've been using it for like the past 6 to 12 months, but quickly become one of my favorite stock sources. They sell video games, merch, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, all sorts of stuff, t-shirts. A great place for stock, especially again for the giftable type of stuff for Christmas. Magic Madhouse, board games, trading cards, again another one just very, very similar to Chaos Cards. In fact, Magic Madhouse is another good one. And Forbidden Planet, again another sort of geeky, dirty, collectible type place. Action figures and all that kind of thing that get a lot of good stuff from there. They tend to have higher than average shipping prices, and they do often limit how many you can buy of a particular product. But if you fill your basket with lots of different stuff, because I think they ship directly from their stores, and if you get an opportunity to go in and do some retail arbitrage in a Forbidden Planet store, do it, because they've got some great offers. I always come out with something. Anyway, that's all as far as OA is concerned. Next question, toys and compliance requests. So we already touched on this earlier on, but I, for one, fully intend on continuing to buy and sell toys throughout Q4. I'm going to be cautious. I'm going to be careful on my quantities, and I suggest you guys do the same, but don't ignore toys, because there will be, like, again, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to be the type of person that sees where the herd is heading. If the sheep are all walking in one direction, I'm going to walk the other way. I'm not saying people are sheep, that's just an analogy, right? So if you look which way the herd is heading, I'm going to walk the other way. And a lot of people are going to be not buying toys, not going to be investing in toys this Christmas. A lot of Amazon sellers are not going to be investing in toys because they're going to be scared about compliance requests. Well, what does that mean? That means there's opportunity for those of us that are willing to take a gamble on it, because there's going to be as much, if not more, demand than there ever has been. And as a result of the fear surrounding selling toys, there's going to be a decreased supply. When there's an increase in demand and decrease in supply, what happens? The prices increase, which obviously it's greater risk, but with that greater risk comes the potential for greater reward. So I'm going to continue selling toys. I'll keep you guys up to date with how that's going my end, but I'm sure we'll be just fine. Amazon still needs to sell toys. That, like, it's probably the single biggest category for Amazon throughout Christmas, which is why they have the limitations on it for FBM. So they're not going to clip the wings of everybody throughout this period of time. Obviously, they've got their legal obligation to make sure everything's good, but for the most part, I don't think they're going to cause us too many problems at this time of year for that, because they want toys sold. And as always, Lego is one of those consistent safe bets. You can go and download the Declaration of Conformity certificate from Lego. More often than not, I found someone else does it for me, so I don't have to do it, which is great. So another question I got last year: how do you prep advent calendars? Because a lot of them like a chocolate, right? and they have little windows that can fall open. So I tend to bag and bubble wrap. I bubble wrap and bag them. I don't always bubble wrap, depends what it is and how fragile I feel like it is. But bubble wrap and or bag them. That should be sufficient, and you shouldn't really have any problems. How do you avoid overstocking? Good question. In all honesty, it's inevitable. You are going to be left with some stock that you bought for Q4 that doesn't sell. It's going to happen, right? But it's going to happen with a very small percentage based on what you're actually investing in. So sales are going to continue to rage on into early January because people get gift vouchers. They're going to be looking for the January sales. They're going to be disappointed with what they didn't get for Christmas that they did want. They're going to go buying it with their Christmas money. So sales are still going to happen into early January. So if come 25th or 26th of December you've still got a load of stock left, don't go reduce it and blow your brains on it. Hang tight. People are still going to buy it. Now, most of what sells at Christmas also sells well the rest of the year, like I said earlier on. So don't go crazy with clearing it all up. Now, I talked about seasonal items and Christmas decorations and all that kind of thing. I would try and make sure that all that kind of stuff is gone, because if not, it's probably going to sit in your inventory for the next however many months. So get those cleared up and be cautious on what you're investing in for that period of time. And using a repricer is a really strong way to make sure that, you don't get caught on your stock. It's a busy time, right? It's a time where there's so much happening, and you're not going to want to be too caught up in repricing every single day or several times a day like you probably should. You're probably going to be too busy with that kind of thing. So I would get a repricer in place. Profit Protector Pro is my go-to for that. I know there are others in the market that do it maybe as well as, maybe better, maybe not as well, I don't know. But Profit Protector Pro does the job, and like I said, whichever one works for you, it's all good. Next question, should you save stock for Q4 rush? Now, again, I alluded to this earlier on. In my opinion, don't save it. Like, get it sent in. If you're buying it for Q4, get it sent in, and get it sent in at the price that you want to achieve for it. So even if that price that you want to achieve for it is way higher than the current price, get it in and get it priced at that, because when the price does come back up, you're going to be there sitting waiting to get it. Next, I would always recommend getting that profit reinvested. Keep riding that wave like that. These waves, it's like on a windy day at a beach. The waves are huge, and you're just going to catch the next wave after the next wave after the next wave. If you keep putting that profit back in, I know it's going to be tempting to take it out. You're going to have made £1,000 in profit in a week or whatever, and you're going to think, let's go crazy, let's go on holiday. But reinvest it, reap the rewards after Christmas is done, because you won't regret it. I can assure you. The last question I've got here is the OA deal machine. So OA deal machine, for those of you that do know, for those of you that don't know even, is my deal service. We do daily deals, 7 to 10 deals a day, Monday through to Friday. And we always get asked whether or not the deal service is going to accommodate Q4 deals. So all that we've talked about so far, the different types of products, all that kind of stuff, the answer is yes, we will. OA Deal Machine will continue to accommodate Q4 deals as we do each year. Our team will be expanding, as it was last year and the year before, to accommodate the increase in demand. We're going to be, the team have instruction to focus on products that generally sell better during Q4 than most others. And there will still be some stuff that comes through that sells all year round, but and we find what we find. It's a more challenging thing every single day that goes by to get these deals done for you. But for those of you that are on OA Deal Machine, either on the monthly subscription, the annual plan, or in Arbitrage Insiders Elite with a bit of time outstanding, yes, please know that we will be doing Q4 based deals. Now, for those of you that are not in OA Deal Machine and are interested, we do have a special offer that's going to be available for a limited time for those that do want to have either all of, if you've got no interest in really doing it yourself, or some of your deal sourcing taken care of as far as OA online arbitrage is concerned. So we'll put together a Q4 deal package, again, very, very similar to what we offered last year, and it's back this year by popular demand. So I got a lot of positive feedback from people last year that it was nice that they could just sort of kick back and know their deals are taken care of. So on that basis, you'll get 7 to 10 guaranteed deals every day, Monday through to Friday. We average maybe 13 to 15 deals per day when you include the bonus deals. So bonus deals, for those that don't know, are those that are found during the sourcing process. They don't quite meet our minimum 30% ROI or £2.50 per deal minimum, like baseline. If it doesn't meet those, then it doesn't qualify as a main deal. Therefore, it goes in what we call bonus. And 30% and £2.50 are just sort of guidelines. And I know a lot of you operate outside of that, which is absolutely fine. So we throw them on the sheet anyway, because it would be a waste not to. And a lot of people do very, very well from those bonus deals. So what we got here? Focus put on both specific products and categories that are all proven to sell well in Q4. Now, the deals will be delivered for the entirety of the Q4 season. I got here 1st of October to 31st of December, but the reality of it is when you do sign up for the Q4 deal package, if you do sign up for it, you get 3 months from the day. So what's today? The 6th. So if you signed up today for that, you'll get deals through till the 6th of Jan. And the price of that is just 247. It's usually 97 per month, but the special deal for that is a 247, so it's a little bit of a discount for taking 3 months in one go. And like I said, it just helps us know what we're dealing with throughout Q4, because we're going to be taking on additional team members and things like that. So knowing where we're at ahead of time helps us to know who to hire, how to hire. We've got some people sort of on standby for that. So the offer for this ends on midnight. Was it 9th of October? Sunday, 9th of October at midnight. You can get it at must put the www in resellersecrets.co.uk/Q4. I'll put a link down below for anyone that wants to jump on that. And something that I didn't do last year, but I did it unofficially for a couple of people who requested it. But for the first 10 people that take me up on this offer, what I'm going to do is a free one-to-one Q4 strategy session with you. We'll jump on Zoom and we'll just go through what you've done, where you're at, what you got, and try and put some sort of strategy together of how to approach Q4 specifically for you. We're going to be talking a lot about all the stuff we've talked about here, but let's do like a special one for you to see how we can like push it a little harder. Maybe even if you just got one little golden nugget out of the session that might be worth it. It would be of benefit to you. But that's the offer for those of you that want their deals taken care of for the Q4 period. Otherwise, most importantly, take some time off to enjoy with those that mean most to you, like your friends and your family, and whoever those special people are in your life that you want to be able to dedicate your time and attention to over that period. I've done it myself, got so caught up in Q4 and everything that happened. Sorry, I'm just distracted by messages over there. But so I've been so caught up with everything that's happening in Q4, I've kind of neglected my family, and I felt bad for that since. Those years are gone now. That was when I was really in deep with it, and I know it's tempting and it's easy to do, and you probably don't even realise you're doing it. But do take some time out. Obviously, it's not all about making money over this period of time. It is a great opportunity to do that, but don't forget to take some time out for yourself. It's a great time to unwind and recharge, especially during that period of time of Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Great time to unwind. It's usually my time to disconnect from everything and enjoy myself and enjoy the time. So Paddy says, MCF, I want to get into it. How does it work? So I haven't done a whole lot of it myself, if I'm totally honest. A lot of people would use a third-party piece of software. There are quite a few on the market that do that will connect your listings and balance the inventory. I'll look into it a little bit more, and I'll share some more information in a short while, if that's okay with you guys, on how you might be able to utilize the MCF. My thing is my eBay. For those of you that remember my story from when you watched the original training to get into this program, I got banned from eBay. I have an eBay account now, but I'm very careful with what I do, and I haven't connected it to my Amazon account. So that's why I'm not really clued up on exactly how that works, but I can find out for you and bring that back to the table here. All right, does anyone have any questions before we finish up? Anything Q4 related that we can tackle here today before we finish up? It's gone on a little while longer than I'd anticipated, hour and 20 minutes. Wow. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, and I hope you found it useful. I went through it quite quickly because I knew that we had a lot to cover. But even if you're watching this on the replay and you have some questions, comment below and I'll come back to you. But I'll just give it a few more seconds before I log off here in case anyone's typing a message. But yeah. All right. Send me the link. Okay, yeah, we'll do, Paddy. But the link for anyone who wants it, it's www.resellersecrets.co.uk/Q4. That's for those deals. And in terms of sure thing. In fact, I think what I'll do is I'll post it in the comments for anyone. If you're people will probably ask how will you know if you're in the first 10? Well, obviously, if you're jumping on now, then there's a pretty strong chance you'll be in the first 10. Otherwise, if it's later on, I will reach out to you guys and let you know. But hopefully, yeah, thanks, Johnny. Appreciate it. I hope you've found it useful. Yeah, hopefully you've gotten something from this, even if it's just one little nugget that you can take away and do something with. But either way, let me know if you have any questions after the fact. Thank you very much for sticking with me and attending the session today. Hope you guys have an incredible rest of the week, and let's go crush Q4. It's going to be an exciting one. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I'll catch you all again real soon.